I'm a technology early adopter and I avidly subscribe to the latest news. I'm committed to my weekly dose of BBC's Click TV program every weekend, following techie trails on YouTube and much more. I'm not that sad though, am I really? But amidst all that, I've only truly, really participated in one social network channel, and that has been LinkedIn. Quite frankly, I felt the others don't deliver for me. So I was especially excited when offered to interview the CEO of Qoorio, himself a true technology leader. Qoorio is a brand new social networking app for knowledge-based communities. So now, again, by the wonders of technology, let's go live to Lithuania and meet Qoorio CEO Justas Janauskas. Hello, Justas. Nice to see you.
Hi, Malcolm. Nice to see you. Thanks for
Great.
having me here.
Excellent. How is lovely Lithuania today?
Very lovely. I moved by the sea during the quarantine, and weather is just perfect. Lots of sun, lots of greenery, trees. People are wonderfully happy here. So life is good.
Excellent, excellent.
How are you?
So, I'm brilliant because it's sunshine in England when I'm talking to you, maybe for the only one day of the year, but never mind. No, so tell me about yourself first, and then tell me about Qoorio.
Well, I'm Lithuanian, 36 years old, technology entrepreneur. I'm coming from engineering background, started my career as a software developer when I was 14 years old. When I was 24, I co-founded my first successful company, which we might touch later in this interview. And now I'm co-founder and CEO of Qoorio. It's a company we're gonna speak now.
So tell me, what does Qoorio do?
Yeah, I think Qoorio, we are developing a new concept, and in a nutshell, it's a human-to-human learning network.
Right.
So what does it mean?
H2H, yeah.
Let me explain what does it mean. I will start explaining by some fundamental beliefs where we come from. We fundamentally believe that humans learn best or most effectively from other humans directly. That's how it has been for thousands of years. That's how kids learn from their parents. That's how we learn from our colleagues, friends, or colleagues of the colleagues, and etc. We also fundamentally believe that humans like to learn, and also they like to teach other people very much. 90% of people say that they would be delighted to give 30 to 60 minutes of their experience and knowledge to someone if they knew in advance that they can be valuable to that person.
Yeah.
So now, the reality is that in the future, and even today already, people will have to learn all their lives, because the pace how things are changing is just increasing, and the demand for constant learning is also increasing. So the question is how to implement a lifelong learning and effective one. So until today, this direct learning, human to human, actually mostly happens between or among people from closed circles. So family, friends, people you know, people you trust. So with Qoorio, what we aim to do, we use technology, and we are creating a platform which would allow any human being to learn directly from any other human being in the world. That's the main question, how to do that. And that's the answer is Qoorio, is what we are working on and building.
Yeah.
If we achieve this goal, can you imagine that now you would be able to learn to find relevant people to your relevant questions, who are real practitioners and who are willing and wanting to teach people somewhere, maybe in Hong Kong, maybe in Japan, maybe in India. And you can connect through Qoorio and learn from each other and grow together. That's our vision. That's what we are aiming for.
I think it's brilliant. I don't know, but we have a newspaper in the UK called The Times, which has been around for many, many years. Yeah. And it said that in the 1700s in the UK, just one edition of The Times would be all that people learned in their total lifetime in those days.
Yes.
Now, it's quite frightening that, but not what we need to know today. If you want to be successful, it's brilliant. So, to use a little bit of a pun, I'm curious to find out what caused you to create. What was the spark that caused you to create Qoorio? What did you think was really missing that needed to be fulfilled?
There was no single kind of piece or event which kind of made me to realize to work on Qoorio, but in essence, combination of many things. And I think one of the most important thing is that it's clear that the world is changing very quickly nowadays, and it's clear that we are approaching the fourth industrial revolution, which may be already happening. And as in any revolution, like previous industrial one, many things are changing. Means that the way we were doing business has to change, the way the governments worked. They have to operate in different environment, but also education. It has to change. And the education we have now, like the traditional model of like universities, schools, formal teachers, is something which I believe worked very well for 20th century, but for 21st century, it needs to be redefined completely, because things will change so quickly. We'll have technologies which we didn't have before, which were able to connect every human being, every thing to the same internet, and it needs to be reinvented. And while technologies are evolving and improving, some things in human beings stay the same. And I think learning from each other through the conversation, I think it's something which doesn't change. And we thought, yeah, so let's use technology and let's empower human beings to learn not only from your close environment and people you trust, but also from any other human being. How to make that happen? It's our big headache. How to make a platform where you can see a person you don't know, but you have a feeling that you can trust him as much as it's your close friend, and you know what questions you can ask and what you can learn from each other.
Yeah.
So
I think that's really, really exciting, because I can see in my own mind that will encourage people to learn. In the past, before we had the internet and everything, I used to have to go off to the library to find a book, and then I had to have a willingness to do that. Now, I'm sitting with my wife, we're discussing something, and she says, "Oh, I'll just check up how old that actress is on the," we're learning, constantly learning, and feeling comfortable about that. But as you say, we want to learn from somebody we trust.
Absolutely. And I think search engines and information databases like Google, Wikipedia, and other platforms, they have done wonders to democratize information and all the things which are objective, like facts, age of a certain person or a capital of a certain country. Those platforms solve wonderfully. So, but the future, we believe the most important skills or traits needed of the future of our human society will be about creativity, about understanding things deeply, and also understanding things which are new, and understanding things which you cannot find information online. And that information practically is, or that knowledge is in essence just an experience of, is an experience of certain people who are in in that field.
Yeah, yeah.
Give me like, I can give you an example. So for example, like recently I was, and it's my example from business perspective. Recently I was trying to understand how a certain business model is working. And I was studying the business model of a small agency which is doing personal branding, right?
Right.
So I can Google on internet many things. It's just one experience, but the other experience on Qoorio, I've found two people who are running that kind of agencies, and that's their daily life.
Yeah.
And they say, yeah, I'm happy to give 30 to 60 minutes of my time to explain what I'm doing. It's my pleasure. I will learn from that. And if that's going to be useful for you, that's awesome. Yeah. And I'm setting up meetings with them, and they will just explain me directly.
Yeah.
How they do from their experience. And I think this is completely different kind of effectiveness of understanding things, not theoretically, but how they are in reality.
Yeah,
So,
I can see that important need for it to be supportive as in ways as well, especially, for example, at the moment, you know, we have 4 grandchildren, 2 daughters, and everything, and a family that hasn't been able to see each other. And it's not the same because they want to ask little questions and everything like that. And, you know, my wife's the fountain of all knowledge. They haven't been able to ask mum as well. Yeah, lovely. Okay. You say that Qoorio merges a marketplace and a social network into one product. What do you mean by that? And how does it benefit people?
I think those are more our internal words we use to describe our business model, which we are still in progress of development.
Right.
So if you look at what is the business model of the marketplace, so marketplace essentially is a model or a platform which facilitates a connection from two different individuals to facilitate a transaction. Well, let's take an example like Airbnb. On one side, you have people who have homes and are looking for guests. And on the other side, you have guests who are looking for places to stay.
Yeah.
And Marketplace is a platform which facilitates those two people that they can find each other very effectively, exactly what they are looking for, and facilitate a transaction, which also usually is a monetary transaction. So that's how it works. For Qoorio, it's the same. So if on one side we have people who are practitioners and they're just living their lives and they're open to share or to teach other people, let's put it that way. We call them open humans. On the other hand, you have people who are looking for specific knowledge from people who are actually working in a specific area and have first-hand knowledge. So my previous example was like when it can be a woman running a branding agency. On the other hand, you have like somebody who's studying how that agencies are operating, and marketplace as a platform is the one which would match or help to one find another. That's the marketplace part. Now, social network piece. This is something we are developing at the moment. The problem, or not the problem, but the challenge with the marketplace for our case, for learnings or experience, is different compared to marketplaces which are facilitating transactions around physical products. Right. Like if you have a home, so you can describe it very well by visually, making pictures, having certain description of amenities and other things. When you're trading, technically speaking, human experience, whether professional or personal, it's hard to use the same methods to describe who is that person or what that person knows and what is his exactly experience. It's not it's intangible asset. It's not a physical product you can describe and put on the app. So we came up with we were inspired by what social media was evolving, how they were evolving recently. Social media also platforms which allow for any individual to create their own personal brand, let's put it that way. So on LinkedIn, you can create different content about what you're doing, how is your business, or on Facebook, you can create your brand as a friend to your friend. So on Qoorio, the same. It's kind of also social network because you can build your brand of your experience, knowledge, or your intelligence / emotional portrait of who you are. And you do that by having a description of telling people who you are, but also posting, we call that insights, on the platform around the topics of your experience. And then those insights could be discovered by curious people who are looking for specific knowledge, and all this portrait created by managing and running your own account on open human account on the platform can give a much better understanding of who you are as a person, what you know, and whether you can be helpful or not for curious people.
I think it's fascinating. I just love that human interaction bit, that we search for, and that's what's been missing with lockdown and things like that. People haven't been able to have that human interaction. Look, you say that Qoorio allows people self-expression through authentic storytelling. What do you mean by authentic storytelling? Could you give me an example, for example?
I can give you an example. I think we don't have any control how you create your authentic profile of who you are and what you know. So whether you are a businessman and then you create a certain profile by sharing things in business you know, understand, or realize or learn. Or, for example, another example, this morning I saw a woman from France on Qoorio. She said, I'm quitting social media for 1 month. And today I'm going to post and document my experience, how I'm changing. And I will document that using Qoorio. And so all the followers can now see in her profile how she documents and expresses that kind of experience. And it is a very valuable experience. Maybe somebody else is considering to quit social media and learn from that woman. They can certainly find her anytime on Qoorio, learn from the pieces of documentation she shared on her account, but also just to arrange a one-on-one conversation and talk and have a not one-directional kind of learning way, which is what typical books, social media, and movies and other programs are doing, TV including, but have a direct one-on-one, two-way communication, and that's practically an example of how you can authentically express.
That's interesting. Look, you're really experienced in the technology sector, and you know that you're entering with Qoorio into a challenging and tough area against some mighty players like Facebook, who don't want anybody coming in, do they? I can see that you're offering a very refreshing alternative, and I'm constantly intrigued about it, but I'm a technophile, so I would go for it. How will you get your message across to the average social network user?
I think nowadays there is no such thing as the social network. Plenty of social networks. So Facebook is a social network. They have a purpose to maintain relationships or share moments with your friends, right? You have a TikTok, which is another social network, which has a very clear purpose to
I'm learning to dance. I'm learning to dance so I can appear on TikTok.
Be fun and have a good time. Very clear purpose. And Qoorio is, so we also have our purpose. Our purpose is like to learn from people you don't know and to discover them. And we are not we are not competing with Facebook, and we are not about sharing moments with your friends. We're about creating a learning network of curious people, so they would be able to learn from each other just by using the app or interacting within the app, or also facilitating one-on-one conversations, which is where we're focusing and not thinking too much about the direction of Facebook.
Yeah, I really, really love the concept there. We're in a very strange time, as we were discussing before we started recording beforehand. Continuing uncertainty, people are worried about life. It's what people are calling the new normal. What part do you think that social networks, especially Qoorio, can help people manage this uncertain time and worry?
I think all social networks have part which is very helpful in this new normal. It's clear with isolation that people need to change their habits and move more communication and collaboration online. And I think it's a golden age for all online kind of platforms. So I think all social networks have a positive effect, including same Facebook or Qoorio the same. How are you going now to meet interesting people? I think Qoorio is one example. How are you going to find people with similar experiences as you have, who are open to have a conversation with you? Qoorio can help with that as well.
Excellent. Yeah. Now, I notice obviously that Qoorio is about sharing knowledge and experience, learning. But how do you calm my worries that this may attract some rogue advice, as we've seen during the COVID crisis? I'm not talking about President Trump injecting bleach into yourself, for example, but just general rogue advice. How can you ensure that responsible and safe advice is only posted or shared?
I think that's the main challenge, or like the main problem we are solving, because in essence, it's a question of how can I trust somebody I don't know, right? And if we're speaking about people from your close circle, so they have a reputation in your head, so you know what's their reputation for you, right? How to replicate that reputation in using technology for people you don't know. That's our main, that's the kind of key thing we are building actually. And I think we are solving the trust and reputation problem in essence. So there is no single answer to this question, and we are on the journey to figure that out. Right. But this journey is a very long journey, because it actually leads up to developing a very solid product, and also with a community which accumulates community approved reputation from other people. In essence, now it boils down to features we have. So one feature we have, that after each conversation, people leave references to each other. So you can read what other people say about other people on the platform. Then we have this, as we said, very dynamic profiles where people can post insights about their experience. So this can also create an understanding in the image of who that person is, and whether that creates you trust or not.
I can see that the members of the community will probably police the community themselves and keep out the rogues. So I have to ask this question. You'll have access to a huge amount of personal data. And today people are worried about the wrong people in the wrong places using that information. So how can you reassure people of your security processes? And I mean, not just by making the usual bland GDPR statement, but what I might call firm assurance.
Yeah, I think it's a very valid question, especially in the context of social networks, right?
Yeah.
Because I think the only way to assure that, I think there are two ways. So first is the trust, which we have to build by being trustworthy. Yeah. But it takes time and lots of effort to do that. like for any other company. Second thing I think is very important as well is our business model. The typical social networks, so their business model, well, in a nutshell, is the following: that what they try to do is to create reasons for people to spend as much time as possible on the app, to collect as much data as possible about them, and then sell very targeted advertisement based on the data they collected. And more time they spend on social network, more ads would be shown, more accurate ads, which means more money, which means this is the goal of the company. So our business model is very different. So we do not make money by selling ads.
Oh.
We make money by taking a cut in those, practically what we do. So what we do, we facilitate one-on-one meetings. We connect people who don't know each other, and those meetings can be free of charge. They can be paid. People can say, yeah, I'm open 1 hour to speak whatever you like, but it's 30 euros. Or also it can be a donation to a certain NGO. Right. So when the facilitation, when the conversation is paid, so curious human is paying through the app to a open human, we take our cut, and that's how we meet. Got it. So our business intention is to facilitate and to create as many as possible one-on-one learning sessions. So everyone benefits out of that. If those sessions are free, we don't make money. And if they are paid, so then we take our small cut. And we have no intention to collect as much data as possible to users and to sell targeted advertisement.
That's very reassuring, very reassuring.
That's kind of the motivation for us is also not for people to spend as much time as possible on the app. It's the opposite. We want them to spend as little time as possible so they can find exactly what they're looking for, and then they'll get effectively what they're looking for. So less time spent on our app to facilitate a conversation with somebody you know is actually better for us.
So where would you like to see Qoorio be in 5 years' time?
I think what we are building here is like human-to-human learning from people you don't know. It's a very new thing. So we are kind of creating a new habit. It's a new thing, right? So I would love to see in 5 years, first 1 billion people believing that this is a good thing to everyone, including them, and being on Qoorio and actively learning from each other on daily basis or whatever basis, periodical basis, reasonable to them, which would make everyone more successful.
Excellent. Yeah. You're a very experienced entrepreneur, having led Vinted, the first unicorn business in Lithuania. So you're aware what's tough and successful and all those sort of things. You've been through all of that. What do you think will be the top 3 biggest challenges in getting Qoorio to market successfully?
I think first is get the product right. How to use technology and product to transmit the feeling of or sense of trust and security, reputation. So that's one. Second is how to get the message of what we are doing right. Because to be honest, we are very struggling to explain what Qoorio is and why it's beneficial for people. So today I'm happy I'm doing that relatively well. So I think get that message because we believe it's a very powerful message. And the third is build a habit of people learning from, because it's a new habit. Nobody's doing that practically except a few people who are fans of what we do. Build a habit.
I agree with you. Habits win, don't they? As you can see behind me, and you can see the Qoorio URL, by the way, there. This interview is called Meet the Leader. So with your tremendous experience, I'd love if you can give some general guidance to viewers and listeners on how to be a successful leader in the technology sector in these times.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Let me think. I was thinking about this question, to be honest.
It's an interesting world, technology, isn't it? It's constantly changing. Yeah.
I think there are a few things. First of all, it's very important to realize that business is a game which doesn't have clearly defined rules, and rules are changing all the time, and everyone has different rules, and there are no single way how to do certain things.
Yeah.
You have to invent it by yourself and
Yeah.
play the rules. And also there is no such thing as victory or the end goal. It's only the direction where you go. And I think in this kind of game, you have to understand it's not about winning, but it's about staying and remaining in the game, not going out of the game. So if you have that kind of mindset, so then for you it becomes fine if sometimes you're a little bit more successful, and sometimes hard things happen, and then unexpected things are coming. So it's just about being in this journey. I think this kind of mindset is very important. The second thing, I think I would call it empathy. What is empathy? I think by the way, I'm not very good at this, at empathy. But in essence, if you're a leader, you are not directly responsible for the results of the business. You are responsible for the people who are responsible for other people who are responsible for the results of their job, right? So since your direct responsibility is people you work with, then empathy, or when I say empathy, I mean it means basically really caring about people, but not the results first.
I'm with you.
Really caring that they feel well and they can execute their job really well. So if one can create an environment which creates a safe environment for people to do their jobs and to be vulnerable and to say when they don't know what to do, or that they made mistake, or that things are going in the wrong direction, or they don't understand what's happening, or they're lost. I think this is also very important thing to create a healthy and successful culture.
So what I'm gaining from having read about you and learned about you, and then having this great opportunity to talk to you, is that you've got thought leadership. There is no doubt about that within, this H2H, human to human, strong thought leadership. And I think you're a very agile leader. You are ready to adapt and to change to meet the needs of the market, as distinct from the caretaker leader that just wants to stay there. And like Steve Ballmer was at Microsoft, he didn't do any innovation. He just sat there as a caretaker. You're a very agile leader. But to win in technology, it's not the machines, it's people, isn't it? People who come up with the ideas. So what are your top tips on effective team motivating your team?
Yeah, I have to admit that I don't consider myself a very good leader and very motivating leader. So those questions are always still hard to me. It also depends very much on the stage of the company. So if you're a very early stage company like we are, I would say grand vision is where you start. for the team, because they need to know that you're going to that
Mm.
mountain, which is super far away.
Yeah. Yeah.
You stick to that vision no matter what. How you're going to go there, of course, it's going to be sometimes good road, sometimes at this, but you will have to cross that. But you have to be always the one who says, this is where we're going. This is our human to human learning network, global one. That's what we are doing.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
The second thing is to have the focus, because how to go there or in this journey, by going where you want to go, there'll be millions of ideas what to do better, how to improve things. But the amount of resources is usually very limited, time-wise and financially wise. So I think the key thing is to very wisely to pick the most important one thing, which you will do, and to all the other things you say no.
Yeah.
And then focus the whole team just on that one thing. It doesn't need to be forever. Maybe it could be for next 3 months, next 6 months, but it has to be, and everyone has to see a connection, how they are contributing to that one thing, and how that one thing moves the whole company closer to that grand vision goal. So
it's brilliant.
That's the second thing. And third one is to create an environment where people can say when they are lost, or when they don't know what to do, or when it's hard time for them.
Supportive.
And then other fellows have to help, or it's okay, it's a long journey. So creating that environment, I think, is very important. Can you imagine like going so far to that mountain? So of course it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, I can see you're going to get to that mountain. There's no doubt about it. So final question, Justas. If you were granted 3 wishes, I haven't got my fairy one, but never mind. If you were granted 3 wishes to ensure the flourishing future of social networks, what would those 3 wishes be?
I would choose only one wish. I have one wish.
Ah, right. I'll keep 2 for myself.
I think social networks have to transform in the future, will have to transform, otherwise they will be outdated. And in the way that they would be less about people serving to social networks and more about social networks serving to people. So, and that's, I think, my wish to every social network.
I shall do my best to grant it. Justas Janauskas of Qoorio, and don't forget behind me is the URL, everybody. Please pop along to there. Justas, thank you so much. I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to you, and because you're a brilliant thinker. Thank you very much indeed for your time today.
Thank you, Malcolm. It was a big pleasure.